We are now joined, you can see on screen, by our guest, our final guest of the evening. He was actually one of the dancing Israelis who were seen dancing on 9/11. But before we talk to him here, his name is Ari Friedman. Let me just inform our audience what the dancing Israelis are. On 9/11, while the Twin Towers were attacked and falling down, tumbling down, there was a group of Israeli gentlemen watching, dancing, celebrating the attack on the Twin Towers, seemingly. And Dirk, pull up, there's a news clip here. It's like 2 minutes, minute long, that really sums up the dancing Israelis for those who don't know. Here we go. So let's play this. We can learn a little about the dancing Israelis before Ari Friedman talks to us.
It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News, during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advanced knowledge of what was going to happen that day? They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation aimed at monitoring radical Islamic charities that support groups like Hamas, something lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
All right, so let's jump back now to our guest. So that was an overview of the dancing Israelis. They were Jews dancing to the attacks on 9/11. And speaking of which, I have my cool Rothschild cigar, which if the lighter was working right now, I would smoke it right now. But more importantly, let's get to our guest, Ari Friedman, who was one of the dancing Israelis dancing during 9/11. So, Ari, if you could give us a brief background about yourself. Can you hear us?
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Tony.
Yep, we could see you, we could hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So my name is Ari Friedman. I studied dance for a little bit at NYU, eventually finishing my bachelor's of fine arts in dance. And I was and currently am a member of the Dancing Israelis.
Awesome. And we do love the Israelis here. So can you tell us, everyone's wondering, what exactly are the dancing Israelis?
So most people know us as sort of Hasidic dance troupe, but less commonly, we act as a watch force. This isn't something we normally tell people, but I trust you due to our mutual connection with David Saltzman. So there you go.
Yeah, so for listeners, a few months ago, during the Dirk, cut back to us, during February, during the Dancing Israeli month is what I call February now, we found out Jews actually have, the Tunnel Jew month is what I call it. There were Jews who were digging tunnels under a synagogue in Brooklyn, and we interviewed David Saltzman, who was one of the Tunnel Jews. And the month of February now I dedicate to David Saltzman and his folks, his ilk. But they were digging tunnels under Brooklyn and Manhattan. So David Saltzman actually got me in connection with Ari here because I told him I want to interview one of the dancing Israelis. And he said, oh, one of them, Ari, is actually a member of our synagogue. So that's how we got in connection. But you mentioned the Dancing Israelis are not just a dance troupe; they're a you called it a watch force. Can you explain what that is?
Right. So back in February, when the whole world kind of established that we have a secret underground tunnel system, what most people don't know, there's an entire society, prayer rooms, bedrooms, restaurants, spas, surveillance. And so keeping that in mind, the Dancing Israelis dance above the ground on the street, sometimes on the sidewalks, sometimes in the streets themselves. And while it is an artistic expression, we also communicate with tunnel Jews using our dance.
Using your dance.
Is that sort of like how bees communicate by dancing and like they fly in patterns?
Yes. So
It's less of a hive mind and more of a pyramid scheme.
oh, okay. So how does that dancing communication work?
So from the top where we are, we dance, but we tap our feet in very specific ways. And it's kind of like a Morse code. And with each step, it echoes down into the Jew tunnels. And that's how we, push our messages towards them, since they're not, above level with us.
Oh, okay. So you're dancing or tapping on the pavement
Creating
is
reverberation.
is Morse code, but why go through all that trouble? Like, why not just like call them on the phone or text them? He's on a delay. There's bad Wi-Fi. There's bad Wi-Fi in the Jew tunnels. I was asking, why are you going through all that trouble to do Morse code dancing? Why not just like text them on the phone, cell phone?
Okay. So as Hasidic Jews, there are strict religious rules about using electronics, certain other methods of technology. So on certain days, we just can't use technology. And certain areas we can't use technology. So to streamline things, make it easier, we came up with this, dance Morse code type of language, and we can use it whenever we want, wherever we want, and it's the easiest way that we can send the tunnel Jews a message when necessary.
Yeah. So I've actually heard about Dirk, cut back to us, but there's something I've heard about where Hasidic Jews can't use like you mentioned certain technology in certain areas where they like wrap like fishing line around the city as a border, where technically it's like a loophole where they can use technology within this fishing line. I don't know if you know anything about that, but that's something I've heard that Jews do, which is I thought was pretty it shows real ingenuity, and it's really backs up how Jews are really the best attorneys, which is what we got. Dirk Dinkman,
What's up?
where they think of these clever ways to find loopholes in like the Bible, the Torah, God's will, and you guys wrapped like fishing lines so you could use technology in this certain segment, but of the city. But that is cool. So to me, that makes sense. I don't know if our listeners have any questions, but you mentioned Morse code is sending messages down to the Jew tunnels.
Well, not a question, but we have a comment saying Han Solo equals 1/2 tunnel Jew smuggler. Continue.
So
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
you mentioned you're as the Dancing Israelis are sending these Morse code messages down to the Jew tunnels. What are these types of messages you're sending? Ari, what is your attorney whispering in your ear right now?
You cannot.
Now we can hear you.
Now, good.
So yes, we hear you. What are these messages you're sending down to the Jew? Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes we just want to warn them there's traffic on Fifth Avenue. It's raining. Bring an umbrella. Blow up a building.
Oop.
Temple starting in 5 minutes, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So simple everyday things you would want to communicate to each other. But that's probably an efficient way to do things, but the main
And can't be tracked.
can't be tracked. Yeah, as we know, like using it in a VPN or like
Or just tap dancing on the sidewalk. That's how you prevent
right.
tracking.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Yeah, Russia can't track you guys or anything, but the real reason we brought you on, Ari, is because of 9/11, people saw you and the Dancing Israelis, your dance troupe or watch force, what looked like you were celebrating while the Twin Towers were getting attacked. So people are theorizing, did you and the Dancing Israelis have anything to do with the attack on the Twin Towers?
So I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people don't realize how honest and truthful Jews are. It's possible we had a hand in the Twin Towers collapsing by accident.
Oh, by accident. Okay. You scared me for a second.
We were dancing on 9/11.
Yeah.
Because we saw that the country was under attack. So we were using our dancing to alert the Jews in the tunnels. The reason being, we wanted to help. A lot of people don't realize how heroic Jews are. We had dug a tunnel under the Twin Towers to help evacuate and bring the people out of the towers. Unfortunately, what ended up happening, the tunnel under the World Trade Center weakened the infrastructure and the towers collapsed, which, as I said, was an accident. We meant well.
Oh, okay. So you guys heard there was an attack. You wanted to help evacuate people fleeing the Twin Towers to bring them to safety in the Jew tunnels below, which we know are really safe and cool.
And effective.
Moral. Many good adjectives and synonyms we could use, but you really meant well. But you digging I guess it's kind of like a lapse of judgment when you're in the heat of the moment. You dug a tunnel under the Twin Towers, which weakened the infrastructure and caused them to collapse. That's your theory. Is that correct? Simple mistake to make. Yeah. But so that covers the Twin Towers, but there was this popular video of Larry Silverstein, one of the chosen people. Larry Silverstein is actually the owner of the Twin Towers and Building 7. And there's a famous video of him talking about how he made the decision to, quote, pull it in regards to Building 7. And as we have since learned, pull it is actually a demolition term, which means to pull down and demolish a building in a controlled demolition. So, Dirk, if you want to pull up this video actually quick on...
You want me to pull it? Oh.
Yeah. So go to, we have a video here of Larry Silverstein next to this. Of Larry talking about pulling Building 7. So let's hear it in his own words.
7 burned until late afternoon, allowing occupants to evacuate to safety.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander.
Here's Larry.
Telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull. And then we watched the building collapse.
All right, Dirk. So yeah, cut there. So you could see Larry Silverstein, the owner of Building 7, said they made the decision to pull it, and they watched the building come down. So Ari, a lot of people think, was Larry Silverstein commanding the destruction of Building 7?
I mean, yes and no. I know him very well. He was a founding member in the 1950s of the Dancing Israelis.
Larry?
And he's been the lead choreographer. Yeah.
Wow.
He's been the lead choreographer for our group since, I think, 1997-ish.
Oh.
He coaches us, teaches us our dance move. The confusion comes from the term pull it. It's actually a dance term.
Oh, really? So a lot of people knew it as a demolition term, but you're saying it's a dance term. Dirk, try pulling this up, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so Dirk found here, scroll up a bit. So this is ballroomdancers.com, and we're
Very
looking
official.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're looking at like a diagram here, the concept of push and pull. Wow. So zoom in on the pull part here, Dirk. So pole is actually a ballroom dancing term. It's about when both partners shift the body weight away from each other at the same time. The result is tension, which creates a pulling sensation through the connection. Okay, so pull it actually is a dance term. So cut back to Ari here. So explain to us, like, what?
So
yeah, go on.
Of course. So at that moment, he said pull it. He radioed it into us, and we didn't know that it also tells the demolition team to blow up a building, in this case building 7, and unfortunately that misunderstanding led to its demolition.
Right. So that's just a simple miscommunication there. That's really unfortunate. But one thing, I mean, we've been doing a podcast now for the past like 2 hours or so. We actually just interviewed the architect for building 7. And he told us, it sounds contrary to what you said. The architect told us, his name was Patrick Caputo. He told us he specifically designed building 7 to collapse in a controlled demolition manner.
Yeah, I mean, I've known him for quite a bit. He's a Russian asset, so don't trust a word he says.
Whoa.
They're always Russian assets.
How do you, so how do you know Patrick Caputo? Like, how do you know he's a Russian asset?
Sorry, what was that?
How do you know he's a Russian asset?
So I was visiting one of my cousins in the tunnels, and someone had started doing the tunnel dance, what we call the Wormishern, and I heard that, and it was a translation that told me Patrick Caputo is a Russian asset.
Whoa, interesting. Because I mean, I trust your word over Russia for sure. We love the Israeli people.
Love Ukraine.
We love Mossad and everyone associated with Jews in every way imaginable. But I just mentioned Mossad. A lot of folks are wondering in the chat too, were the dancing Israelis Mossad agents?
Technically, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. People don't realize the Mossad are a group of international good guys.
Yeah.
You should be relieved that we're Mossad agents. It means that we have your best interest in heart, every day.
Yeah, you have our best interest at heart. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, that, I mean, eases my mind. One thing, I guess before we wrap up, I know you have to go. You were one of the dancing Israelis on 9/11. You're famous. You're basically Dancing with the Stars legend. Could you I actually have this. Let me pull up on screen a second. I went through the trouble since I knew you were coming on, Ari. I got this cool CD. It's called Rhythm and Jews. And also this cool vinyl record called Jewish Dances, which has some really cool Jewish songs. And I imagine something like this is probably what you guys were dancing to on 9/11. So Dirk, if you could play one of these songs, we have it queued up on YouTube. Pick any one, I guess. It's you know best, Dirk, as one of the chosen people, which is the coolest song.
I'm trying to find my favorite from my youth.
Mm-hmm. So when Dirk picks a song here, Ari, if it's not too I don't know, putting you on the spot too much, I'd actually like you to show us one of your dancing Israeli dances that you did on 9/11.
Sure.
So Dirk, can you play the song before he gets going here? Ooh, this is cool. So the song's playing. I don't know if you could hear it, Ari, but whoa. Whoa! Oh shit! I think we just had a building collapse. If we could cut the brake. I don't know if this is like a legal problem, but Derek, put up our brake screen for a second. This is all right, everyone. Well, that was Ari Friedman, one of the dancing Israelis. I think we might have collapsed a building in Manhattan from that Jewish dance. All right, we gotta cut for a second. We'll be back in just a second. Sorry, guys. Hold on.